Hello, y'all. It's been a long time, honey. It's been like a month since I've done my last review because I was originally going to put this episode into episode 5, but it's been so long between episodes 4 and 5. I said, well, let me look at the Circle Atlanta episode 4 again. And after looking at it again, I got so much to talk about that this is going to be a whole episode within itself. So, yeah, this episode is late as fuck. My apologies. But honey, considering, your boy Nunu, considering how you been having us waiting forever and a day, honey. And I know why. I'll talk more about that in episode 5. But, don't blame a girl that I came just as late, honey. So now we got that disclaimer out the way. Episode 4. So I'm going to go and I done just got finished watching it so I can just skip through it and talk my points. Because what I used to do in the past was I used to look at it and then my videos be like an hour long. And then it'd be a lot of dead time because I'm just looking at the TV screen. And then for copyright reasons, I have it on pause or very low. So I'm not trying to do that today. So going into the first part, they're at the club. Oh my goodness. Why? Now this is my third time looking at this shit. Girl, now I like you, girl. And matter of fact, I just followed you a few seconds ago. But girl, oh my God! Now every last one of them need their ass whooped, honey. Melly B, Martell, and Mulatto. Why did y'all have darn going old girl like this? Her shit really is way back in the motherfucking South, honey. Y'all know y'all wrong as hell for having old girl hair darn gone way back here in the darn gone South. Oh, hell no. Y'all wrong as fuck for that. I'm now just darn gone seeing it. Now, and then everybody just had a run with that hair, honey. Cash De Niro is like the darn gone Jocelyn Hernandez of the season. He's the Puerto Rican that ain't been amongst none of the cast, honey. Y'all know when it was that big hoo-ha about Jocelyn Jordan Love and Hip Hop Miami, but she was only there for like 4 episodes. She didn't come to the reunion, and she wasn't never introduced in front of all of the cast. That is what I'm getting for darn gone Cash now 4 episodes in. And I'm like, but damn, the season is halfway over, so I thought I'll talk more about that in episode 5. Because I learned a lot of tea outside of the show. We'll get to that in a moment. But I'm thinking that, most first seasons, we only got like 8 episodes, 10 episodes. Honey, half the season in my mind is gone by. And he has yet to still be introduced to the damn group, honey. But yeah, they talking about darn going Alyssa. And now we got to darn gonna do a quick 5-minute, PSA on the differences between nationality, religion, ethnicity, culture, and race. Now, some of them do overlap, especially since ethnicity is so miscommonly used interchangeably with nationality. I can see how that can confuse folks. So I'm not going to get on. So I'm not saying that it's an ignorant, because I don't like using the word ignorant. Ignorant is a negative connotation, implying that somebody intentionally is, uninformed. But this is something that has been such a huge issue that, I would say she is misinformed. So when it comes to Jewel, but then it was like she was contradicting herself by the end of the darn episode as well, because first she recognized that there can be white Mexicans, and then by the time they get to the table, the argument comes up, and it was brought up that she's racist. She was right about how black people can't be racist, but then said darn Alyssa is not white, she's Mexican, implying that Mexican is a race, which is false. There's only 4 different races. There is black, white, Native American, Asian. Everybody on this earth is in these 4 racial categories. You might be a combination of multiple, But there is no such thing as any race outside of black, white, Native American, Asian. Hispanic, Latina, or Latino for the male is the culture. Then you got the ethnicity. This word gets a little bit more convoluted because ethnicity sometimes do be conflicting with the nationality. But let's say, for example, I'm a black American. Black is where it gets complicated because black is a race, is amongst all people of color of the African diaspora, but black in America is representative of a particular culture of people who are from America, who has roots here in America. So it is race, culture, and ethnicity all wrapped up in one. Just like Jewish is a religion, a culture in a sense, and an ethnicity all wrapped up in one. So sometimes it's interchangeable, but in regards to Mexican is always going to be a nationality. It's never going to be a true ethnicity nor a culture, because you could have Lupita Nyong'o, for example. Lupita was born in Mexico. I think she was like born in Mexico, but both of her parents are actually full-blooded Kenyan from Kenya. So she was born in Mexico. That will make her Mexican Nigerian. But culturally speaking, she is whatever of her parents and lineage that she grew up with. So she will be, let's say, Yoruba or Ashanti or whatever tribe and stuff that they come from. So that is the culture. And the same thing as far as the ethnicity. You know, your tribal group of people, your religion is, whether it be Christianity, you know, Muslim, Jehovah's Witness, this, that, and the third. So those are the differences between religion, culture, ethnicity, race, and nationality. So looking at Alyssa is what we would call a white Mexican. Her culture would be obviously Latina. Her race will be white. Her nationality will be Mexican. So now that we done got that out the way, so now there will no longer be any confusion. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a whole video, breaking this down for a reference point so people will know the differences between them. And like I said, when it comes to certain groups like Black Americans, and then it gets even more convoluted because sometimes we're referred to as African American. I don't subscribe to that terminology because, once again, we have our own culture here for so many centuries now, where we have a whole different culture outside of just being from the motherland. Not disregard our lineage, but just like Native Americans are originally from Asia, you don't say Native Americans are Asian American, because you'll say that for the ones who are Asian who are coming here now. The indigenous Indians who came here through the Bering Strait many thousands of years ago and are the first settlers here, who are Native American Indians, and due to genetic adaptation over time, they created their own form of race. And once again, I'm not even going to go into that science of it all because that's a whole nother video topic. But once again, you got race, nationality, ethnicity, religion, culture, all different things. So let's move on. But yeah, honey, darn going, Miss Jewel was darn on, she was pushing the issue up on this race issue. I understood where she was coming from afterwards. I seen her interviews on Eugene's, not her interview, but her talking on Eugene's channel, because they do the weekly recaps and stuff on their own episodes. And I do get her point. It was like, well, damn, we are in Atlanta. Atlanta is 50% black. And it's like, where we are nationally 13% of the population, for us to be equal or majority in any type of city is saying something significant. So with us representing basically the majority in the city, and with Atlanta being like the gay capital of the nation, the LGBT capital of the nation, how come we don't have not one trans woman of color that is actually black? Hence why I don't subscribe to addressing us as people of color, because once again, it's such a convoluted term where everybody can come in with an ounce of color, whether you be Mexican, that is a combination of white and darn on Aztec Indian. I know I might be mispronouncing that. You know, Alyssa, if you follow me, tell me the correct pronunciation, because a lot of Mexicans tend to have some indigenous DNA mixed in, but you tend to lean either more white or more black. Now then you got the very yellow tone ones who are actually more full-blooded Native American. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, she was pressing a little bit too hard on this race issue, but at the same time she did bring up a valid point. Like, we could have darn gone at least had one other trans woman on the cast. Hell, you got darn on 15, 20 different people. You might as well add one more. Would have been so hard to add a trans woman of that is black, whether she been light skinned like mulatto or dark skinned like Jew. Another thing I want to address, I'm glad mulatto brought up the issue, because I was wondering, like, why do we fetishize being called racial slurs and terms? And my apologies. Come to find out, that's actually her middle name, and her mama named her that. Now, mulatto, no offense, I'm not, girl, I still got to address the situation. Why did your mother name you a racial slur for a mixed race woman as a unambiguous light skinned black woman? I mean, there are so many darn going confusions with that. And it's, once again, that's something that we got to talk about as black people, darn going holding on to derogatory terms and thinking it's cute to change it around as terms of endearment, such as nigga, this, and mulatto, that. We got the rapper, the singer, something named Mulatto, and all this. I don't personally agree with it. I understand she spells it slightly different, but still, I don't really subscribe to that. Now, in her case, that's not her fault, because she's actually named that. That's not her stage name or something. That is actually her name, so she really can't help that. My issue is more so with the parent in this case, as opposed to mulatto now. But once again, very sweet soul, still like her nonetheless. But yeah, the origin of that name is still a little bit of cringy for me. And it's like, you got to be very careful what you name your children. And when they grow, it's like, in some cases, yeah, they embrace the names and stuff, but other times this causes unnecessary expenses. This is what caused some people to have to go and darn go and pursue a name change. And in the state of Georgia, for you to do a name change, you actually have to put an ad out in the paper for 4 weeks. How do I know? Because I've been darn gonna trying to change my name for years now, and I've been thinking about relocating to Georgia. So if I do decide to change my name in Georgia, I have looked it all over in extensive details. You got to run an ad in the paper for 4 consecutive weeks to go ahead and get the name changed. The reason why I'm thinking about doing that way, because I don't have to actually have witnesses, which is what we have to have here in North Carolina. They're so meticulous that you even have to have it printed out on a certain pink sheet of paper. Like, who in the hell has pink sheet of paper in their damn printer? So now I got to go to the darn gonna print into the store just to get some pink sheet of paper for the copy paper. Like, y'all motherfuckers are really doing the damn most in North Carolina in regards to name changing. And that's for anybody who wants to change their name. That's not even about, the fact that I'm trans. But anyways, moving on. Let's get on to the next scene. Oh, they was on that subject for a minute. Okay, now they start arguing. Melly B, now I'm about to get into your ass. You darn gone had this darn gone 5-minute back and forth with Jewel to Jill about B. Hopkins, and up until the day, I thought B. Hopkins was damn D. Hopkins. And I thought it was the New York accent. I was like, why do she keeps referring to darn going D. Hopkins as B. Hopkins? I know the letter B and D sound similar, but it's like she keeps emphasizing B. Hopkins from New York. And I'm thinking, because, people travel from city to city. And I'm thinking, well, maybe darn on before she got over to darn on chasing L.A., she was over there on darn going to New York or whatnot. Honey, come to find out, after darn going browsing on darn going Jewel to Jim's page, honey, darn going B. Hopkins is a whole different person within her herself. So her / they, because they use she and her. So she is a feminine leaning non-binary. And what a feminine leaning non-binary means is somebody that is not subscribed to gender terms. But if they do, they will lean more towards this aesthetic. So if you do refer today as a he or she is more of the prominent. So she is more of the dominant feminine energy. So non-binary people tend to have essence of both of the feminine and the masculine energies. But in B. Hopkins' case, B. Hopkins is a dominant feminine non-binary. So if you address her by such pronouns, it would be preferably she, hers. If you do not subscribe to using they, them. It's a whole new concept. I'm learning this too. Matter of fact, the first non-binary person that I actually got introduced to is darn Leander. Shout out to darn Leander. You might catch Leander on, Jasmine Divine's channels and such. I will leave her link down below. And I want to say they actually got a channel as well. But it's been a long time since we seen a video from them. So if I can find Leander's channel, I will leave their channel down below as well. But that's the first non-binary person that I got introduced to. And it took me some time to wrap my mind around the concept. But however, you still got to be respectful of people's terms. Even if I did not like, a said person, I'm not going to use that as a dig, because once again, that is a level of transphobia. And we're going to address that later on in the program. But yeah, you was being very dismissive, and it was fucked up. And you kept reiterating. And then this another thing I don't like, is that term sweetie. That's what this demon likes to do as well. Be kind, because it is a form of condescension when you say sweetie and all this, that, and the third in an argument. It is a level of belittling and condescension. And then the thing is, some people are naturally so conceited like that they actually don't know. So I am going to give Melly the pass on that he honestly probably did not even know that sweetie is a degrading term to use in the midst of a heated exchange. But as far as you being educated on B. Hopkins being addressed as they and she, and you still referencing they as he, was totally disrespectful. Now we got my favorite, the one that brought me to this show, that ain't been a part of the damn cast this old 4 episodes that this shit has been on. Cash De Niro. Cash De Niro's getting the face painted. Now I remember when these pictures were taken, but I did not know it was like a whole production. I thought it was something that he did himself for the OnlyFans. I was like, okay, come on, through Cash De Niro, giving us a little bit of fashions, giving good gowns and fashions to cover up the yellow curl mill pussy, honey. Okay, Miss Butch, honey. Come on, honey. Cash is one of my favorite Butch queens, honey. I don't know. I don't care what he say. He's a he's a Butch queen. He's what we would call the thuggish Butch, because we can't put Cash as trade, and we can't put Cash as twink, and he don't really have the show enough femininity of Butch queen. He will be what you would call a more of the equilibrium leaning masculine Butch. He's not too masculine though. Like, if I was to say somebody more on the masculine side of Butch Queen, it would be Eugene from the series. He's what we would call a masculine Butch Queen. And, Cash is slightly masculine leaning. So he's right on the cusp. But yeah, we got this him getting the face painted and doing this scene. And now looking at it, I got to agree with Jewel. I was like, what type of cheap shit is this? I was like, oh, no. Now finding out that this was part of a whole production for a promotion, and then you saying in your confessionals you trying to get out of, people just looking at you for sex. I was like, well, hell, this didn't really do it for you, honey. Like, this was not giving me show enough model. It's like you in this hotel room. Granted, you know, it was an upgrade from the hotel rooms that breededraw.com and stuff had you in, because once again, I've been following you, boo, for 5 years. I heard the stories about Breeded Raw being cheap with the girls and putting y'all in the darn on $30 a night hotels for the fuck sessions and shit. Y'all look like y'all actually splurged on the Holiday Inn. It still wasn't the Ramada Inn. It wasn't the Pina Colada Inn. It was the darn going Holiday Inn. I will at least give you that it did look like it was a decent $100 a night hotel. But I was like, ugh. It was so many things wrong with this darn stuff. I was like, ugh. It still gave me a explicit, which I love, honey. That's how I met you, honey. I ain't going to judge you at all, honey. Sex work is honest work, honey. And if you want to still be up in it, honey, go ahead and do what do. But you darn on saying that this was your breakout from darn on said sex work, and you darn on got pictures of you in this darn on little teeny weeny darn on thong, honey, with the darn on cherry peeking out in the darn on back. You got your legs up to the darn on moon with them darn on luscious darn on calves and shit, and with the ankle bracelets and shit all wrapped around. I was like, how in the hell is this darn on giving high couture fashions? This is giving me more so upscale darn on naughty talk, honey. This is giving me glamorized porn. It was just dressing up darn on porn. And once again, that's nothing wrong with that. But saying that this was your breakaway from that, not necessarily the case. And this person was not helping you no bit. He was not gonna copy free feels and stuff. Like, honey, it was no need for him to position your damn balls. I was like, sir, really? Talking about put the balls right here. I was like, what type of doggone shit? What type of shit is this? What type of doggone professional photography grabs even in doggone porn, the actual the filmtographers and stuff, they don't actually supposed to touch you. You move your own self. So I was like, what type of shit is this where you doggone grabbing Cash's doggone jewels and position them how you want to position them? I was like, oh no ma'am, honey. You doing too damn much. And then you talking about you wish you had more pillows. And I was like, the damn pillows look basic and bland. My little cheap pillows in my darn rundown apartment looks better than yours. I was like, shit, I got darn color pillows. You know, as black people, we got to have our satin, honey, so, you know, it doesn't ruin our tresses. I'm like, how come my darn pillows in my rundown apartment is looking better than this darn cheap white cotton up in this darn hotel? And then once again, y'all in Atlanta, na na na, the home of the sewing queens. I'm like, honey, if you didn't want to go to eBay, Amazon, a home craft store, honey, there are so many drag queens in Atlanta that you could have called up on the phone. And hell, you got a drag queen on the motherfucking show. Shout out to darn Miss Cassadine, honey, aka darn Rico, honey. I'm like, well, damn, y'all couldn't even get, I'm sure darn I don't know if he can, you know, sew up a pillowcase or whatnot. But it's like, we could have did some bedazzling with the pillows. We could have had a whole concept. It's like, even with editing, you can darn edit a backdrop and just have him up against a plain white wall and edit stuff in and then add some stuff, like put him like he's on a beach and darn have a hammock scene and have some rocks spread throughout. Make it actually look modelistic. Make it look actually like something that's in Vogue magazine or something. This look like something that would be in the regular urban porn magazines. Keeping it real. Now Cash still turned out. He always gonna look cute with it. But honey, this was not the breakout from the porn, honey. And like I said, over there copping free feels and all this shit. And then add more insult to injury, we found out from the Jewel that he actually reached out to her first and was trying to do something similar. And it was like, well, damn, what the hell you was going to have Jewel do? If this is what you having Rico do, what the hell was you planning on doing with Jewel? And was you going to darn gon' Copperfield or darn gon' Jules darn gon' poo na 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 na? Ooh. Honey, was you going to darn gon' try to Copperfield of the inner voodoo, honey? Was you going to try to darn gon' dabble in the black arts downstairs? Honey, this, like I said, throw this whole darn gon' pleasantly plump queen away, honey. You cute and whatnot, no shade, no tea. I'm just calling it how I see it. Bitch, you was doing the motherfucking most. Like, once again, the fashions was okay to a certain extent, but as far as thinking that this was high couture, I thought this was something, like I said, Rico did by his damn self. And if that was the case, I was all up for it. But to find out this was part of a whole production, hell no. And then come to find out that you darn gon' stood Jewel up. You didn't even have no decorum. They darn gonna call and cancel because it come to find out that this person is friends with darn going Melly B. And as soon as he found out about they had an exchange of words, you took it personal for whatever reason, I don't know. And then you stood darn on Jewel up. But honey, turns out that standing her up was a blessing in disguise. Cause honey, I hate to see what type of tacky shit you was fixing to do with her. But moving the fuck on, like I said, honey, I'm glad that I, was a, maybe it was a blessing that, these episodes are so far apart because I needed all the backstory. The darn gonna put stuff into perspective. Cause I was like, what in the hell? Okay, I done a darn gonna say it about the argument a little bit too much in advance. They having an argument now. Okay, and while we on the topic of Jewel, I am going to address this now in episode 3 in regards to Jewel versus Rico. Because this shit's been so long ago. I said I was going to address it on the next episode. The next episode didn't come out till weeks later. And then I was going to put this into episode 5. And so sure enough, a month later. So I'm still going to address the situation. In regards to the party situation, Rico has reached out and told me that he was actually indeed part of the planning. He never darn going said that it was actually his event, and he furnished proof that it was an actual event that he was attending and that he did take part of. And I believe the date was back in February of this year. So this is actually filmed March, April, May, June, July. This show is filmed like 6 months in advance, 6-7 months in advance. So yeah, Jewel, girl, you got some explaining to do, honey. On that, honey, you said that although that at the same time though, that doesn't mean that the whole club. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Somebody just tried to call, and that just reminded me to put my phone in airplane mode. Shout out to Indigo and somebody else who told me about putting my phone in airplane mode when I record. So yeah, it was like that still don't, say that the whole club was darn gonna possibly rent it out. But it does say that you did have the event there, and it wasn't just something that you just made up. Because from what I was getting, it's been so long ago, I didn't look back at those episodes. I think the narrative was that it wasn't an event at all happening, that you was just up there. Now, my thing is this. I'm still wondering about that darn gone VIP. But that's a whole nother thing. It's so much darn gone after tea that I done found out after the other shows. Like, in regards to the darn gone party with this darn gone VIP and shit. And I think that was episode 2. I'm like, oh, I would have been over too. But anyways, back to episode 4. I know I'm jumping all over the place, y'all. But like I said, I was finding out so much darn on information, in between the darn on shows. I had to darn on bring it all in for it to make sense about these arguments and shit. So Melly gets to the house and he got surprised as he's darn on the phone with somebody else. informing them of the Jules situation. And then he immediately goes into, once again, trying to explain this shit about B. Hopkins. And I'm like, well, honey, B. Hopkins need to be a guest feature on Dargon. How many times B. Hopkins has been Dargon mentioned? And then from what I'm hearing, that the shit even went on to the damn reunion. It's like B. Hopkins need to come on over to Dargon Atlanta for a couple episodes as a guest feature for this shit, honey, at this point. And once again, it was still transphobic, but we're going to get to that at the end. Now everybody doing their confessionals as they Dargon coming up to the party. We about 38 minutes in to the show. Oh Lord, they spent about 5 minutes doing these Dargon split screens and shit. Okay, 43 minutes in, we finally got people at the party. We got Eugene and we got Mulatto. So everybody's becoming acquainted with each other. We got Rico finally come on to the scene 44 minutes into the episode. And then everybody is becoming abreast of the situation about, the exchange between Jewel and Dargon Melly B. You got Tevin comes in. They have to re-explain yet again because he comes in on the tail end of the conversation. He's the only one that actually brought a Dargon friend. Everybody else just brought their damn selves. And Mulatto, of course, brought her wife, who ironically is not featured at no other point in this show except for the car ride there. Honey, I don't blame her, honey. I wouldn't Dargon want to be in front of this shit show. I mean, not to say that there's a shit show, but the debacle that's about to happen, honey, I wouldn't want to be present for that Dargon shit hitting the fan either. So in comes Alyssa. So Alyssa is finally Dargon introduced to everybody. 48 minutes, 24 seconds in to the 4th episode, honey. But anyways, come on through, Miss Dargon Cassadine, honey. Now, I want to know, was that Dargon all you, honey, or was that some padding? Like, that looked like that could have been all Dargon, Rico, honey, with them Dargon. Might have had a corset on, but child, come on through, Miss Dargon Rico. Y'all know I got my fans going because this one AC vent in this cheap ass apartment does not do nothing to cool me down, so I am constantly blowing my nose. But anyways, child, I now see what Dargon Jewel is talking about. Like, now Rico. Now, girl, I need to know what your thoughts are of Dargon Alyssa. Dargon basically giving you the cold shoulder and being like, she really don't fuck with you like that as Dargon Heat. I was like, wait a minute now. I understand that it's a change to see, Rico outside of drag, but you had like you really giving her the Dargon Mariah Carey treatment. And then now, Jewel, I'm glad that you got your Dargon wig all the way to the front today, honey. But your Dargon manners are still way back in New York, in the Dargon up north, honey. Because it's like, girl, why did you feel the need to address her on that introduction? Because once again, first impressions is very key. And for you to be like, hey, what is your race? It's like, that is somewhat disrespectful. Especially in the manner which you was trying to Dargon do it. Like I even get that in regards to myself at times, which is weird. Because I don't see myself as racially ambiguous by any means. Ethnically ambiguous, okay, I can see that. Because once again, depending on the hair, I can look Ethiopian, I could look Eritrean. I have gotten that I look like I'm from the islands and all of that. But when people Dargon question like whether I'm black or not, I'm like, because once again, bitch, I am Dargon, pure Dargon. And I was like, what? But even that gets to be, so I can understand how that would make somebody feel like, why is your first Dargon word is to wonder what type of darn going ethnicity or race that I am. And like I said, with how black I am, you wouldn't think I would even get those types of questions, but I actually do, depending on the type of unit that I have on that day. I've gotten Indian, Native American, which I am partially, but I'm dominantly black. You know, like I said, the islands, Ethiopia. But in darn on Alyssa's case, yeah, she's a white Mexican. But like I said, you bringing it up and feeling concerned, it's like, yeah, it's like your issue with having a black trans woman on is production issue. That don't have a damn thing to do with Alyssa. It's like you are misguiding your frustrations for a black trans woman to be on and represented amongst a black cast, with darn on Alyssa being chosen as the token white person of the, and you know, it's so many nuances with that, because I do feel like, you know, when you do have only one other race on a show that's predominantly of another race, it does seem like a tokenism. It seems like a affirmative action hire, like, oh, well, we got to have one white person on just for the sake of it, for the sake of appeasement. And it's like, no, if the white person really didn't have no prior history with people, it's like it comes off as so unauthentic. I don't like that shit. The only exception to that was Married to Medicine, because darn gone Karen, she actually darn gone, Carrie Wells, she actually had history for years with several of the people on the show. So the cast was legitimate. It wasn't, oh, we just throwing a white person in here so we don't have all black people. Or we throwing Garcelle Bouvet, Mademoiselle Garcelle Bouvet over there at Beverly Hills, so we can say we finally have a black darn going housewife over there. It's like, I don't like that darn going tokenism like shit. It's like, no. So next season, they do need to mix it on up a little bit more. If you're going to have an other brown-skinned girl up in the mix, it's like, honey, let's add an Indian woman next season, not to be confused with Native American. Or if you want to get a Native American in the mix, okay. But it's like, just having a one-off race person, it does create an awkwardness. It's like it needs to be more so blended, so it don't come off as tokenism, affirmative action type of hire. But yeah, the lead off with darn on inquiring about somebody's race is so disrespectful. Not so much as if you're wondering about somebody's dialect, where they're from, like, oh, I detect the accent, where you're from. That's not necessarily disrespectful, but to go and inquire so much detail in the way about somebody's race for the reasons that you're trying to do it, Jewel, it is disrespectful. But anyways, everybody's at the table and they conversing. Now Eugene becomes abreast of the situation, and darn gone Eugene takes it upon himself to darn gone become the Ayanna Van Zant, honey. Not to be confused with Amani Van Zant, not her, but Ayanna, honey. And the shit backfires real quick, because they looking at her like, bitch, who the fuck is you? Number one, we darn gone just got introduced to your black ass episode 3. We still trying to get to know you. You wasn't even at the motherfucking event, and you want to take it upon yourself the darn gonna call yourself being the darn gonna Yana of the damn situation. And then Melly B, I like you, I do, but bitch, you was doing the most in this situation. Now, it's like you was already being tone deaf with this darn going, with the trans comments. And now, you threw an unnecessary dig, like, darn gone Jewel did not say shit to you. And it's like, for you to darn gone come out the blue, like, is something being left out in editing? Please tell me. Because from what we're seeing from the cut, because I know sometimes editing can be a bitch. It could be some preceding things, playing devil's advocate, that could have happened that led up to that. So if that's the situation, please leave it down in the comment section below, Melly, and inform me, was there some exchange before this moment? Because the way that it's being edited right now, and I'm not saying that the editing is intentions, I mean, being I'm not saying it's being malicious. I'm darn gonna confuse putting intent and malicious together. But I'm not saying that this editing was done with malicious intent, because I just recently found out that this is a one-man production show. You know, shout out to Nunu. He's on his Tyler Perry. So, you know, and you can't have but so much in here. And even with that, they still have quite a lengthy episode. So with that being said, it's like, yeah, the way that you came at her with that darn going no crystals needed, and you know, and all that, it was like, that was fucked up. Now, what wasn't fucked up as far as Melly concerned is addressing it. Now, girl, you gonna have to hold the damn L on that darn on wig situation. Your wig was parked all the way back here, honey. Your wig was doing one of these numbers on the first damn episode, bitch. And I know y'all wondering, like, bitch, why do you got a darn going satin bonnet on underneath? Once again, like I said, cotton strips our moisture. So what I do, honey, is a little tidbit, honey. I wear my satin bonnet underneath my darn on cotton turbans. That way, the moisture in my hair lasts longer. Even though my hair is low porosity, I still like to keep the moisture in it as long as possible. So let me go ahead and put my bonnet, my turban back on, honey. But yeah, it's like, girl, you want to have to hold the L on that darn going wig. But as far as everything else, you was totally right. He is transphobic, and he can learn from this. And what he was doing was very similar to what white people do, as far as, oh well, I can't be racist because I have white friends. And it's like, then you give them one step, they take them out, then they say, oh well, I'm not using the N-word in a derogatory way. It's like it's being used in a song, this, that, and the third. Eminem said it back in the day. This is what I'm getting with darn going with Melly B. It's like, well, because I have trans friends and I respect them. And matter of fact, same thing with Angela, and I hate to do this to you, but Melly, what you doing right now is no different than what darn on Angela Stanton is doing to her trans daughter. Now you see how darn on disrespectful darn on Angela darn on stanky ass is to her trans daughter. But she is so respectful to her best friend, who also happens to be a trans woman. And she has other trans friends and gay friends, and she respects them by their pronouns. But you feel the need to disrespect your own biological child because of something that you personally don't agree with, even though your child is grown. And it's like, just because you do not agree with what somebody say does not mean that you should be doggone disrespectful in regards to somebody's gender identity. And that is the same thing that I'm getting with Melly B. Because it's like, you talking about, well, did I address Alyssa as he? It's like, okay, because you don't have an issue with them. The problem is when Mad Day comes, you feel like it's okay to then be transphobic and make certain generalized terms in regards to gender identity towards a specific trans woman, and then say, oh well, I'm just addressing that one person. That is no different than if a white person was to call a black person the N-word on Mad Day and say, well, I'm not darn on saying that about all black people. I'm just calling this darn on black person a darn on mammy. I'm just calling this black person a hood rat, a hyena, or the N-word. Just like we wouldn't accept a white person singling out a black person and using terms that is disrespectful towards a whole community of us as black people. The same thing applies to trans women. On Mad Day, you can find so many different things to say in regards to B. Hopkins. But why do you have to use such generalized and degrading terms as far as addressing they, she as darn gone he? Which once again, it by default does disrespect the entire community, even though you're only mad at her. You don't have an issue with trans people overall, but you have proven yourself that on Mad Day, you would not mind using transphobic slurs. And once again, this is a part of a whole bigger situation because our community as a whole, we are rather divided because trans women are always seen as last. Even when we talk about the term LGBT, it really should be TGLB if we are going to address it from the hierarchy of importance of people who have darn gonna fight on the front lines. Because if we go through history with the Stonewall Riots, it was actually Marsha P. Johnson, a trans woman, who actually darn gonna fight for us. And then we can go into our first representations of femininity and, you know, seeing ourselves on the mainstream with Wu Paul, a professional female impersonator, a drag queen. And then we can go into the first trans woman who made it popular for the term TS to be normalized. Because before it was seen as cute, it was darn gone derogatory, and darn gone it was T.S. Madison Hinton that darn gone paved the way for the trans girls to darn gone be there. And matter of fact, let me shout out somebody else. Let me get a book real quick. I got it somewhere over here. You know, then we got our modern day trans activists. You know, shout out to Hope Giselle. She's one of our beautiful chocolatey trans sisters that is on the front line, honey. And a phenomenal author at that. If y'all have not checked out her book, definitely go ahead and check out her book, Becoming Hope, Removing the Disguise. Talking about her struggles coming to the terms of being trans. It's a good quick read. You know, this is, you know, the print size. And it's a total of, I think, 78 pages. So, a good quick read. But yeah, with the so many of us as trans women who are out there on the front lines, who are always fighting, who is always the ones talking about the discussions, and then you have the gay men, the trade that are able to just hide in obscurity, and then the feminine gays who think they still a step above the trans women. Y'all don't have to get it as hard as darn gone trans women do, as darn gone feminine gay men. It's like it creates this darn gone division that is not necessary. And when you make these types of statements, it helps fuel the division, because once again, you feel so comfortable on Mad Day to address a trans woman by her darn gone misassigned identity. Because once again, she was born with the male extremities, but her spirit is that of both the feminine and the masculine energy, which makes up non-binary people. And with trans women, you know, your spirit is that of the female. So it's like, for you to not, you know, become educated on that, and somebody's educating you, it's like, yeah, you just learning these terminologies and stuff, but after being educated, you still becoming intentionally ignorant. You know, you becoming oblivious to the situation. That what goes from being just unaware to darn gone being flat out ignorant and disrespectful. And Melly, I like you, I do, but it was disrespectful as fuck, honey. So yeah, and then you darn gone trying to deflect and darn gone call out Jewel the Gem on darn gone her situation with Alyssa. And then this is where, you know, once again, Alyssa darn gone was contradicting herself, talking about, you know, Alyssa's not white, she's Mexican. And it's like, well, earlier in the program, you darn gonna realize the difference between race and nationality. In this particular moment, for whatever reason, she thought darn gone white. She was using the term white and Mexican as races interchangeably, and it's like, no. Darn gone Alyssa is indeed white. She just happens to be a Mexican who, and hell, we don't even know if she speaks Spanish. So it's like, because, you know, contrary to popular belief, not all darn gone, surprisingly, a lot of, you know, Latinas in America, they parents don't, you know, keep up the values of their culture, and darn gone make them learn. You'll be surprised, there'll be a lot of black folks and white folks that speaks more better Spanish than some people who are actually culturally Latina, who have genetic ties to, you know, dominant Spanish speaking countries. So once again, I don't even know if she's actually a Spanish speaking darn gone cultural Latina. But we do know that her nationality is indeed Mexican. She's from Mexico, I believe. Racially, she is dominantly white with a little bit of Native American. And you notice, if any black, she might have like 5% or less darn on black DNA. But yeah, Jewel, you'll learn over time. Like I said, it's very confusing. But yeah, she's indeed a white darn Mexican. And the fact that darn Melly tried to deviate from his situation and try to throw that situation up in there, just tacky as fuck. But anyways, those are my thoughts, y'all. I know this video is long as hell. Shout out to the folks who darn watch this all the way to the end. Like I said, I just had to break down a lot of points, that I've been, seeing throughout this whole month in addition to this episode. So hopefully when we look at episode 5, which just came out this morning and I'm about to watch right now, I try to make it a point where my videos are not just as long as the show itself, because I don't have that type of voice that's, upbeat that I feel carries on for a whole episode. So I know at certain points you might have to check out. So shout out to the people who watch me even in spells, honey. If you had to watch this over a course of throughout the whole day, or, some people say I got that soothing voice as background noise. So if you listen to me as a podcast as you was washing the dishes, doing the laundry, honey, a view is a view. I appreciate it all, honey. Especially the darn cast. I never thought that the cast would actually, look at little old me, because I'm like, hell, compared to the the other folks on that do these show reviews, I was like, well, shit, I feel pretty damn special, honey. And matter of fact, honey, I even gotten a shout out from shout out to Nunu in the Circle Atlanta for highlighting your girl. Now I'm gonna have to put on some makeup and shave my facial hair if you decide to do another, line up. I was like, well, damn. Here I am representing it for the trans girls, and I'm giving good old butch tease my damn self, honey. Like I said, I'm a work in progress, honey. I'm showing the the inner workings of what trans women had to go through in the in-between stages. Because I think, showcasing, all of what exudes of transgenderism is very important, because we always see what the final product is, like the Alyssas of the world, the B. Hopkins, and I like to change that narrative. So y'all work with me. I like to show y'all my transformation in real time as I grow breasts, and as I get this hair lasered off. My 6th session of laser hair removal will be at the end of September. So y'all will eventually see what I look like without no hair at all. Y'all get to compare to, photos of what I looked like before. And then we're going to get the hair transplant, and y'all get to see that before and after. So yeah, I'm a work in progress. But even though I look, very handsome right now still, my pronouns are still she and hers. So once again, we got to still be respectful of pronouns no matter what somebody might look like physically. So that's the learning lesson of the day for Melly B. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts down below of this episode. Like I said, it's a very nice episode. And then the fact that, I'm able to learn everybody's name so early on, honey, that's a testament within itself to show how entertaining that they're able to keep. Everybody is able to bring something to the show where I'm able to remember their name. Because it took me to like episode 8 of Chasing LA to even, know everybody's name. Chasing Atlanta, same thing, but we're only 4 episodes in on the Circle Atlanta, and I know everybody's name by heart. Everybody actually got somewhat of a backstory. We still got to learn a little bit more about Alyssa, and that's basically it. So that is it, y'all. Y'all leave y'all thoughts, comments, suggestions down below. Feel free to like or dislike, Once again, we appreciate everybody's, thoughts and concerns and opinions over here. Comment down below, and I will see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah.